that next, because the other governor's race that we actually thought was going to be more of a blowout turned out to come right down to the wire. It was in Virginia. Here's Ken Cuccinelli, who ultimately, at the end of the night, lost the race.
Despite being outspent by an unprecedented $15 million, this race came down to the wire because of Obamacare. That message will go out across America tonight.
So, Eric, most people, the conventional wisdom was that he was going to lose big, and then I actually think that the McAuliffe team, Governor-elect Terry McAuliffe in Virginia, that their team sweated a little bit around the 7:30 hour. Ultimately, when Fairfax County came in, he was able to pull it out.
I think maybe a couple of weeks ago it was McAuliffe by 14 or so, and that thing narrowed down to going late into the night before McAuliffe regained that the Fairfax, Virginia area where all those votes came in, which is a suburb of D.C. Point is, though, there's a libertarian candidate that got 6.6% of the vote, and if you dig a little bit deeper, the guy isn't very libertarian, number one, and number two, he was financed, a big portion of his financing came from a very big Obama bundler Democrat supporter from Texas, no less. So is this the game that the Democrats are going to start to play? They're going to try and divide the party by backing a third-party candidate, Libertarian Party candidate, and try and marginalize some of the Republican vote. But the Republicans better see it coming.
There's no evidence. There's absolutely no evidence of that. But let me put it this way:
of what?
Of the Texas Democrats funded this guy.
They did. No. You have to FEC. You have to show where your money comes from. This guy put a lot of money into the Libertarian candidate.
Let me ask you a question. The Tea Party people opted for a convention in Virginia, which is sort of old hat. They didn't want to go to a primary, which would have almost certainly put the lieutenant governor with the Republican nomination, much more moderate conservative. He would have beaten McAuliffe. This is another example of the Tea Party once again costing the Republicans a seat.
You disagree?
I disagree. I think that there's a couple lessons from Virginia. I rarely quote Ed Koch, ever. I don't think I've ever quoted him. But the voters have spoken, and now they must be punished in the state of Virginia. One thing that I think really affected him was the RNC under Michael Steele spent $9 million to get Bob McDonnell, the former governor, elected. This time around, they only spent $3 million. They have some explaining to do on why they didn't invest resources there. Number two, Republicans, and focusing on the social issues. Dana, you've seen the exit polling. Women, he lost women big. Democrats set the same playbook that President Obama did in the presidential election, convince women to think that Cuccinelli was some kind of right-wing nut. And instead, he should have been focusing on the economic issues, Obamacare, much sooner. I believe, Dana, if the shutdown wouldn't have happened, if Republicans would have gotten together, I think Cuccinelli would be governor today. And I think that's why Republicans need to wake up, because strategy matters. And they didn't have.
Let me ask Greg about that, because Cuccinelli and Christie actually have on paper the same positions on a lot of those social issues, but it didn't. Christie wins by 60% and wins women, minorities. He did well, and Cuccinelli doesn't. How does that happen?
Purity is great for the ego, but you got to fight. You got to win first, and then you can fight. And I think if you have that backwards, you're going to lose.